trust that I will start with the IMDb plot right now. A Hollywood actress hides in a remote cabin after a scandal, only to find herself betrayed and fighting for survival against someone she once trusted. All right, all about trust. All right, so this is a new one coming out very soon. Received a screener for this one, so just let you guys know that off the top. And that means we'll try to keep this spoiler free, maybe some slight twists and turns here. So we'll try to keep that hidden from you guys and give you something to look forward to. Let you guys know that this is, it even says it by IMDb here. This is more of a thriller than horror, but still I think might be of interest to some of you guys out there. It stars Sophie Turner. You guys might remember her from Game of Thrones. I could swear there's something else recently I saw her in. And, I'm sure she's done plenty of other stuff since. I think she's a pretty good actress. I like her. So I think she definitely did a good job here in this movie as well. Maybe they kind of limit her a little bit, and I'll talk about that in shortly. And I just mean that by what kind of happens in the movie. But still, she does a decent job here. So with that, I think the IMDb plot kind of covers it. Basically, early on, it kind of opens a little slow as we see her kind of as a child actress. And, as that kind of played, I was wondering, if this is going to be, I tried not to read into too many details going into it. So I thought, maybe this is going to be like a child kidnapping or something as the movie kind of started. Because we kind of see her and she kind of, is in her, her audition when she's a child. And that's kind of what we saw, but, my mind is racing in other ways and always thinking the horror, true crime kind of vantage. But nothing really happens. That's just kind of set up to show her beginnings of her celebrity fame. She, later goes from child actress to obviously an adult, a little bit older, not tremendously old, but an adult actress, I should say. And she's on a very, they set her up as being on a very popular family show that's kind of running there, and that's her thing. But unfortunately for her, someone has kind of hacked into her phone, her her computer, or so forth, and stolen all kinds of information and released all kinds of information about her. And people are letting it known also that she's pregnant. So of course that starts the rumors and all that craziness that we often see all over TV all the time. And everybody wants to know. So anyway, so she decides, along with some of her people, that it is best for her to kind of get away, go into a little bit of hiding for short term, and hopefully some of this will go away. And she kind of goes out to, I guess, what's an Airbnb, and kind of in a way area. And she basically tells no one. She kind of picks it out, and she settles in. She takes her dog with her, and that's it. Nobody else is really going to know where she is. But unfortunately, she's going to stumble upon a couple of things that are going to happen here. And, I'll keep it kind of short as to what is going on. But I guess there's a PI that's going to be looking for her for a certain reason. There's also some, let's see, the best way to say it, I guess. There's going to be some guys that break into the apartment, to the home, I should say. It's not an apartment, a home. And that's going to cause a chain of events where she basically gets locked in this area of the house. And when I mentioned at the beginning that they kind of limit her, Sophie Turner, in this movie, and what I meant by that is kind of like locking her in this room, because from that point on, You know, she does talk to people on the outside here and there, but basically most of the film then is just her in this room, and you know we are all seeing other things happening in the movie. There's a you know it's not just her, and you know not a movie where she's just there trying to escape and that's it. We see other events, other things going on related to like I said, the PI and these people that have broken into the apartment and so forth. So there's other things happening. But as far as Sophie Turner is concerned, her character, she ends up trapped in this room here in this house, and she has to try to get out one way or the other. So I don't want to get into too many more details. That's kind of the basic setup there. I think, it does, obviously the title is Trust. It plays a little bit on that, between her character and even some of the other characters. There's a level of that going on. I think, as the film kind of sets up and as we get closer and closer to the end and closer to the final act, they definitely are trying to draw in the suspense a little bit and a little bit of tension. I don't know how tense it got. I guess that's kind of for you guys to kind of feel if you really felt that. Definitely some suspense in the matter, and what's going to happen. Like I said, there are a couple of other things going on. Obviously all centered on her, but there's some other things going on here to kind of keep you thinking as well and to keep you occupied. Like I said, it's just not her, just sitting there in the room, trying to figure out how to get out. But there's a little bit of dramatics there with her. She is trying to get out. So there's a little bit of I guess, suspense in that as well. I think there's going to be, maybe a couple of other familiar faces to you guys out there. I'm not going to name them, but you'll see them in here, and they do a good job as well. So, the acting is pretty good in the movie as well, from that standpoint. Like I said, you can kind of see them almost kind of pick it up. You'll see, as the film kind of gets closer and closer to the end, you see them kind of, going through the different, like I said, there's different kind of storylines with other characters too, and you'll see them kind of go, around, to each one a little bit faster as we're getting closer and closer to the end. And obviously, I'm not gonna say it is a thriller, so it builds on that suspense, but it's not hugely high on action and so forth. I think there's the one other, like I mentioned, there's a couple of familiar faces. There's one in particular that kind of steals part of the show here. I'll just say she. She steals part of the show and so forth during a certain segment of the film as well. So, it almost kind of seems like, it starts off a little slowly paced and so forth, but definitely we'll start kind of picking up and circling through these characters a little bit faster and faster, as we get to where the movie's going. And then it ends up, in I think a somewhat expected way. And I guess there's a slight humor towards the end, but not hugely, not over humorous movie either. But yeah, I think at the end, it is just, a pretty, solid, thriller. It is what it is. It's not horror, not huge in the blood and guts. There is a little bit of blood, but it's not that really kind of film. So I think it just ends up being a solid thriller movie. So if you're looking for something a little different, something not totally into horror, I wouldn't say it's a mystery either. I think things are pretty well played out. It's just what is once you see the events played out, it's like how is everything going to kind of wrap up and end, and what is eventually going to happen. But yeah, and I said the acting is good here. So with all that, I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5. Excuse me, 2.5 pools of blood out of 5. Like I said, if you're just looking, maybe to get off horror a little bit and into maybe a little bit of thriller, then this might work for you. Like I said, solid acting, and the story's not bad. Not a great mystery to solve here or anything like that. But definitely a movie that just kind of gives you a decent kind of slow pace in the beginning, but then we'll pick up in more and more and drive some of that suspense as we get to the end. Yeah, so I believe I have a press release for this one, and if I remember, I will try to include that down below so that you guys can read more about it if you're looking to where to find it and so forth. Like I said, it'll be out here shortly, so you guys can see that if you'd like. So again, 2.5 pools of blood out of 5. So with that, horrorreviews.blogspot.com is where you can find more of my reviews, written and video. Certainly tons of video reviews, so you can like and subscribe and do everything else that everybody wants you to do here on YouTube. If not, no worries, it is okay. I thank you for your time regardless. Twitter, Facebook information down below. Reach out to me there as well. If you guys eventually see this movie, your thoughts, other horror you want to talk about, you want me to review something, that's fine. And definitely in the comment section as well, if you eventually see the movie, your thoughts. And, if you want to reach out, feel free to do so there. And with that, I guess I'll trust to see you on the next review, horror fans.